Hey guys, I'm Ornella Hernandez with Web3 TV, and I'm at the BlockDown Festival in Portugal. Joining me, we have Diego, the co-founder of Borgo Labs. How are you today?
I'm great. It's hot here, not
Yes.
like Dubai, but it's good. I'm happy. I'm stoked to be here.
Yes, thanks for joining me. I want to learn a little bit more about Borgo Labs and what you do.
Yeah, I've been basically consulting brands, Fortune 500 brands. I was at Adidas before, so I support a team there doing into the metaverse. So that was sort of like my first project within Web3. I've been in marketing and branding since I was 16 years old in the agency side, but also on the brand side. And since, about 1.5 years, I've been doing a lot of consultancy with large brands. So I work with Salesforce, with Unilever, with MasterCard, with the Volkswagen Group, so Porsche, Skoda, Cupra, Shell, the energy company. I also spend a lot of time with tech companies that are building the rails and the infrastructure for large brands to deploy within Web3. So with Borgo Labs, what we basically do, we are helping brands to reverse engineer their strategy to go to market faster within Web3, because obviously it's a new place for a lot of them. It's extremely complex and hard to understand. And what we do is, running workshops or running research and things like that on their behalf to help them succeed within the space.
Yeah, so you've worked with some big names so far. So what has been like the toughest challenge when it comes to, as you say, like explaining to them the value behind implementing Web3 elements and strategies?
Yeah, I think there are three main pillars there. One pillar is connected to education. New technologies, especially within blockchain technology, because this space was built by technologists, is extremely difficult for people that are not within that space to understand. I spend a lot of time with marketeers, with people from the innovation side, and with strategies within brands, but I don't talk a lot, or I don't spend a lot with the real technical people that are sitting within those brands or are working with those brands, right? So that barrier of understanding technology and also why Web3 is obviously one of the biggest things, especially the higher up you go, the more difficult it gets, right? When you're talking with a CMO or a CFO of a Fortune 500 brand, for them to understand or digest all what is within the space is extremely difficult. So I would say that's number one. I would say number two is that our industry is still extremely immature, right? I think that as long as Web3 is connected or closely connected with crypto, we're going to have a really hard time to sort of like mature the industry, and also don't be based on cycles, because as soon as number is up, everybody's excited about Web3. As soon as number is down, Web3 is dead, right? So as long as that's still the thing, I think it's going to be really difficult for us to get those brands to understand the scalability and the sustainability of business that you can build on top of Web3. Because if you take all the complexities and difficulties of terms that are around, Web3 is nothing else than just the evolution of the internet, right? It's the evolution of how we connect digitally as humans. The internet is going to keep evolving. It's going to be Web3, Web4, Web5, Web69, whatever is going to happen, and nothing's going to change, right? From that perspective. So I think that people still have a hard time understanding that, because a lot of times they think, oh, Web3 is Bitcoin, Web3 is Ethereum, but Ethereum is down. Bitcoin was 60 grand last year, now it's 30, so Web3 is that. So I think we need to get away from that. Blockchain, one of the use cases of blockchain is cryptocurrency, but blockchain does not equal cryptocurrencies, right? So that's something that I think we need to change as an industry. And the sort of like the third pillar within it is that we don't have today as an industry that 1 billion pillar that, in revenue, that sort of like showcases why Web3 is going to be extremely disruptive, right? So
What does that mean, 1 billion pillar? Like of users?
revenue, right?
Oh, in revenue.
Yeah,
In revenue.
so when you think about e-com, right? E-com got to a point that represents $1 billion plus of a lot of those brands in revenue, like Adidas from 2016 to 2022, they went from zero money on e-com to 6 billion in e-com, right? Like we don't have that proof or that transformation today to get brands to see and look at Web3 as the key cornerstone of their digital strategy, right? So a lot of that's still difficult because you need to convince why it makes sense. And the current use case we've been working with, for example, NFTs as an asset class, like last year was all about it, still do not display the large opportunity that the next iteration of the web has. So I think that we are still in that moment that we are writing the new playbooks. We're sort of like, flying the plane and building at the same time. And that obviously means that there's a lot of risk, but also a lot of opportunities, right?
You are you're going to do a keynote later, right? Or tomorrow. So can you give us maybe a little preview of what you're going to talk about on stage?
Yeah, I've been talking all the time this year about the same thing, right? I think that when Adidas came out in December 21 and made 24 million in revenue in 24 hours through selling NFTs and using NFTs as an asset class as its main use case, it sort of like kicked off that bull run for brands, right? Nike came after, a week or 2 weeks after, purchased Artifact, gave top signage to the market, which is, like, listen, there is something here. How do we look at the second playbook, the second version of that playbook? Because if you were following the market closely, more and more brands are struggling to get that through, and more brands are failing because minting is not as it used to be, because now there's a lot of brands.
There's no hype anymore.
There's no hype anymore. The market has changed. Liquidity has dried up, right? And even native projects like you guys is currently struggling within that market. So when you think about that, you as a brand, you need to be thinking, one, what is the actual problem that Web3 actually solves for the brand? Two, where can we enhance customer experiences by leveraging this technology within it? And three, do we even need to do something in Web3, right?
Is there always something blockchain could solve for everyone or no?
Not everything, right? I have a really good friend, Anthony Day, that has a podcast. It's called Blockchain Won't Save the World. And that's exactly what it is, right? So a lot of times we try to go tech first when we should go challenge or opportunity first and reverse engineer which tech serves it best. So that's a lot of what I'm talking about. But then also is what is in for brands within this space. For example, when you talk about a new ways of proofing engagement, right? You can prove you've been to this event. You can prove you purchased certain item. You can prove you, have been engaging with a brand for a long time. You can prove you're a Reddit community
record keeping.
Exactly. So that is something that Web2 technology doesn't do super well, or is not super easy to do, and Web3 technology does. And for brands, it's huge. The other thing is loyalty and membership. Right, you have a lot of problems and opportunities within that sphere that Web3 technology, I think, is extremely well positioned to solve it. Right, when you think about immersive commerce as well, we will keep iterating the web, as I said before, and one part of that iteration is going to be the interface of the web, which currently is voice, video, and text, but it will include immersive experience, avatars, virtual worlds, AR, VR, and those things. So what is the role of Web3 within that evolution as well, right? And that's also what's exciting. So I'm trying to get people, brands, builders, enthusiasts, and people that still not understanding what this is about, to look at this technology from a less alien way, right? It's not PFPs, it's not the pump and dump, it's not like, communities, it's literally, it could be, but is a lot more about the problems and opportunities that brands can solve or tap into by leveraging the right technology for the right things.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time, Diego.
Thanks for having me, appreciate it.